So, hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about inheritance in C++, in OOPS, C using C++. Before I proceed further, I'll give you a small review about what we have already done. We learned about inheritance, where we create a new class which derives the properties of the old class. The derivation could be done both publicly and privately. Right now we are seeing public derivation. When we have to create a new class, such that the new class should have its own capabilities, properties, and the new class should be able to inherit the capabilities, properties of the old class as well. In this situation, we have to use inheritance. We have to derive the new class from the old class. Means the new class will have its own properties and inherit the properties of the old class as well. This is the syntax that I explained to you in the last class for derivation. This is the derived class being derived publicly from the base class. Then I also told you about the protected access specifier, and I explained you about what section of the class could be accessed from what other section of the class. This is the class hierarchy. Suppose there is a class A, have the property ABC, class B derived from class A, then the class B object will have all the properties of class A as well as of class B. This is the access mechanism that I explained to you. The base class usually will have the private section, the protected and the public section, and the derived class will have private and public section only. This diagram explains to you that from the object to the derived class and from public and private sections of the derived class, what sections of the base class could be accessed. Well, this diagram becomes very important. Then we wrote a program where we try to demonstrate that what section of class is accessible from what other section of the class. The program looked like this. For a recap, I am showing you this program once again. So last class, we created a classes hierarchy like this. We had a base class in which we have the base class private data, base class protected section data, and the base class function constructor, the base class constructor with 2 arguments, and the base class function. In the derived class called class derived class, which is publicly derived from base class, we have the derived class private data, derived class constructor, the derived class constructor with 3 arguments, and the derived class public function. Then we implemented this program like this. In the main function, we created a derived class object with 0 arguments or with 3 arguments. Suppose we created a derived class object with 3 arguments, then the derived class object with constructor with 3 arguments will be invoked, which looked like this. This is the derived class 3 argument constructor. Scope resolved to derived class. The argument A, the argument B, and the argument C, in which the argument A was consumed by the derived class constructor and it assigned the derived class private data, D private, with the value of A. Whereas, notice how B and C were passed further to the base class constructor. Base class constructor with 2 arguments here. A, B, and C was passed to base class constructor. And then the base class constructor will run like this. The base class 2 argument constructor will run like this. A and B will be captured as formal arguments coming from the derived class constructor and will be assigned to the base class private data and the base class protected data. This and this. So the whole hierarchy of classes, the derived class and the base class, everything is initialized just by declaring objects in main. But then I accessed the derived class public function. That is, I am trying to run this function now. Look at how this function runs. derived class public function, excuse me. The derived class function, once invoked, runs like this. Excuse me. Here we are trying to print the derived class private data. This. Then we are trying to print the base class protected data. This. See, we are trying to print the base class protected data from the derived class public function. So from the derived class public function, you can access the base class protected section according to this diagram. So therefore it should work. Okay. Then next, I am trying to print base class private data from derived class public function. That is, from the derived class public function, I am trying to access base class private data. Let's see, will it work or not? We did this last class. I am doing this once again because I want to connect from here and move on from here. Okay, let's try this program. I'm going to build this program. The build is failed. It says the base class private data is private within this context. You can't access it. This is the problem. The base class private data, this section is being attempted from the derived class public section using the derived class object. So object to public is possible, but public to the private of the base is not possible. That's why I put it as red here. Okay, that is not possible. Okay, fine. So let's comment this. Commented. If you want to run it, you run the base class public function using resolving the class to the base class. Can you invoke this function directly without using object? So what we are doing is we are calling the base class public function by resolving the scope to the base class. Can we run the base class public function directly like this from the derived class public function? So what I am trying to do is, from the derived class public function, where we are already into derived class public function, from the derived class public function I am trying to invoke the base class public function. So according to my diagram, this should be possible. So from the derived class public function, I am trying to invoke the base class public function by resolving the scope to the base class. Okay, so this should be possible. Now let's go inside the base class public function and see what this function does. Base class public function tries to access base class private and base class protected data. Now from this public function you try to access the protected, and from this public you try to access the private. Let's see, can we access? Okay, the classes architecture explains that from the public section of any class you can access both protected and private section of the same class. But I raise a question here, because the public section of the base class is being invoked through the public section of the derived class function, which is further invoked through the object of the derived class function. So let's see if it is possible. I hope you are able to understand the scenario. This was important. Okay, let's see this now. Oh no, still not possible. So what did I do? I tried to invoke the base class public function from the derived class public function, which is invoked through derived class object. Means accessing from derived class object to derived class public function is fine. Invoking from public function to this public function of the base class is fine. But trying to access the private section from the public section of the same class. When the public section function is invoked by the object of the derived class, compiler have problems. It says the base class private is private within this context. Right now everything has been invoked from the derived class concept because we are using the derived class object. So therefore it didn't work. So that is why from this public to private also there is a red mark here. This protected could be accessed. Okay, I hope you are able to understand this access mechanism. Okay, now let me fix this bug and let me comment it. That's not possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't save it. Let us run it once again. I'll do it once again. Yeah, you get the same error. Huh? So, let me comment it. Now it will work. Oh my God. I didn't put these many comments. I didn't put these many. How is it possible? Now, so I saved it and I removed the buggy statement and I built it. It's working, not working fine, still not working fine. What's the issue now? Did I not save it? Derived class public function has a problem. We've saved it, right? No, we're in a different directory. So let's save it here. Saved and run. Build is successful now and it runs absolutely fine because you are not trying to access the base class private section. There it is, working absolutely fine. Notice one thing. The order in which the constructors are executing is something that I would like to emphasize on here. When we created the object, we created the object of the derived class. But look at the hierarchy of the order of execution of constructors. First the base class constructor got executed, then the derived class constructor got executed. So what happens is the order of execution of constructors is important here. Let me explain it through a small diagram here. Suppose you have a base class in the base class you have the base class constructor. Then you have a derived class in which you have the derived class constructor. This is a derived class from the base class. Now you declare the object of derived class. When you declare this object, then what happens? When you declare the object of derived class, obviously the constructor of the derived class will get executed. Definitely, this will get invoked. But it will not get invoked. The control will just reach here. Okay, this particular derived class constructor will transfer control to the base class constructor. Transfers control to the base class constructor. Also, it passes arguments to the base class constructor. So first, base class constructor got executed. Base class constructor runs first. Then the control comes down and the derived class constructor runs next. Okay, execution happens in the reverse order. Control goes up in one order but comes down in different order. Okay. So this is how the constructors execute. As you noticed here also, the base class constructor executed first with the two arguments because the two arguments were passed from the derived class constructor. That means the control went to the derived class constructor first, where it passed two arguments and the control to the base class constructor, and the base class constructor executed first. Okay, then the derived class constructor executed. Right. So this was one important thing that you must keep in mind when working with the inheritance. Also, the access mechanism that is explained in this diagram to you. This diagram should be in your mind always. A very simple diagram which explains everything about public inheritance. Remember, it's for public inheritance. Okay. Now I would show you one example, or instead let's implement one program. Instead of showing you 5 examples, it is better to write one program and face all the errors that will come. We will write a program about implementing. In C you have implemented data structures stack. So we'll implement a new program here using the concept of inheritance, and this new program will be called stack. We'll write it from scratch. Okay. I hope everybody knows what is a stack. Somebody have the microphone on. Could you please switch it off? So I've opened all the tabs now and we are ready for the stack. Okay. Now I'm going to write this program not in the way that I know everything and I just type it blindly. We are going to do development. We know the concept of stack. We'll try to implement the concept of stack here, and there will be a lot of bugs and a wrong implementation, logical errors, so that we'll implement. They could be syntactical also, because inheritance we are learning for the first time. So we'll face it and we'll learn it. We'll get into trouble and we'll come out of the trouble, and we'll troubleshoot, and we will develop the program instead of read somebody else's program. This is the right way of learning. So very first thing is headers.h. You people can suggest me what to do. Are you stream? Okay. And then we go to next is declarations. where I'm going to create a class called stack. Class stack. Okay. I don't know whether I will need inheritance or not. I don't know. We are developing. Later on we will realize, oh, okay, I need something else also. It will have public, private and public sections. In the private section, I told you right in the beginning, I'll just try to recall what I said. C++ is not about programming. C++ is all about program design. Okay. Now I would really appreciate if somebody can come forward and tell me what is the data that you would like to put in the private section, and what are the functions that you would like to put in the public section. One function I'll tell you that we'll need constructor. Other than this, fast. Sorry? Top is one variable that you would like to use. Is it in the public section or private section? So top will contain what, and where it will be, what will it contain? Yeah, so Niranjan says that we'll put a top here in the private section. Yeah. Yeah. So top will, what is top all about, and where will you keep data, and how will you arrange your data? Stack array has to be there in private section or public section. So you would like to keep a private array, an array in the private section. Do you want to declare that array statically as a particular size, or do you want to use dynamic memory allocation? Int star stack. Is it fine? I have a question for all of you here. Int star stack is going to contain data. That's correct. What about top? Top is also going to contain data. Data nahi hoga. So okay, right now we are keeping it in the private section. And you think, where would you like to keep it, in the private or public? You can suggest me later on. So let's start with the bare minimum stack and go to the main function. So we have headers.h, and we have declarations.h, int main, return 0. Oh, it's 8:20. Hold on, just I'll need. So we are going to implement the stack. The very first thing we do is we have to declare the object stack s. Okay, we declare an object, and we will write constructors, decleration. Now we declare object and nothing else. One more thing, let us write the function name begin, end line manipulator, and the end statement. Okay, now we have declared object. We will not do anything else, and we will write constructors and observe constructors. So the name of the class is stack.c. We'll write it stack 0 because it is 0 argument constructor. That's it, stack 0. So the name of the function will be stack without any return type. Okay, in this we won't declare any objects further. We'll just write the name of the function begin and end, and it will not return anything. That's it. We won't do anything else. First we will test this. Did we miss anything? Did we miss anything? Yes. Using namespace std. You'll have fun later on. We will create our own namespaces. Let's test this program now. We need a makefile. Where we'll create a program using the shell bin bash. Script will be executed using bin bash, and we'll create our executable program called stack, which will be created from main.o and stack 0.o. Let me check the name once again. Stack 0.cpp. Okay, stack 0.o, fine. And we will compile it using G++, and the optional name for the target will be stack. Now the main.o will be created from dependency main.cpp and headers.h and declaration.h, and we'll apply the rule G++ compile only main.cpp. Similarly, we will compile stack 0 also. Okay, now let's build. Just ensure that all the files are saved. Yes, saved. So let's build. The make file executes, and there is an error in declaration.h. What is the bug? It says that line number 8, you need a semicolon. Here, this was missing. Let's see now. Make is failed. Unexpected qualifier. Yeah, the stack function that we have written here, we did not resolve the scope of this class. We did not resolve the scope of this constructor stack to the class stack. It is done now. This is it. The stack is created. The stack is executed. Stack begin, stack end, main begin, main end. So the constructor is executing first. Now question arises in the program designed for stack. What would the constructor do? The constructor have to allocate space for stack and flush all the garbage and assign top to -1. All these three things should be done by the constructor. Okay, so let's go to the constructor and do the needful. First thing, how would you allocate space? Well, the pointer that will be pointing is called stack. That is this pointer. Okay. Yeah, we'll see that. So this is the pointer which will be pointing to the memory that will be allocated using new, and the argument to the new is the size. Okay, Size is the number of elements that you want to put in the stack. Okay, how many elements would you like to put into the stack? Well, declare size as something in the declarations.h hash if not define size, then you hash define size, say 10 hash end if. So the size is defined. Let's give this size. So memory is allocated to stack, and then we have to fill the stack with the all nulls, none set. So stack will be filled with all end of string characters for how many bytes? Stack is integer, so we will take size of int into size, these many bytes. Okay, and after that you have to make your top as -1. Okay, I hope everything is done correctly, but if in case there are some bugs, so we'll do a cross check. Build is failed because memset is a C library function. How could you use it in C++? Go to the headers. Include a new class called C string. This will pull in all the C libraries that are related to the string class. Make. Oh, it's fine now. And there is a small syntax error. Expected type specifier before semicolon. Did we do anything wrong? Come on. The bug is in stack is equal to new size line. Yes. Who was that? Wait. Ayush. That's the correct answer. You have to specify the integer. You're going to allocate space for integer, these many integers. Let's see if it works now. This is the syntax. This is what happens when you don't do assignments. You're not in practice, and simple syntax you get confused. So let's see if my stack is working now. Well, stack begin, stack end, no errors reported. That means this is correct, and this is how you can pull in the C libraries also. And constructors task is done. Okay, fine. Now the stack is created and the stack is empty. Please switch off your microphone. Now the stack is created and the stack is empty and the top is at -1. Now you have to start your operations on the stack. What operations would you like to do on the stack? Those operations we have to push in the public section. Well, what I can see is there is a push, there is a pop, and there is display. These three operations, isn't it? So let's try to implement this. Go through main first. S is a stack object that is done. Okay, while one. What do you want to do? So you display the menu. Okay, main menu function, which is not part of the class. Or do you want to put the main menu function also part of the class? Yes, why not? Int main menu, or only the menu. So we have to implement the main menu function in the while loop. Okay, and the main menu function will return some choice for you, and depending on choice you will have appropriate switch statements. Cases. Case 1 will be your push. How will you call push function? S.push. Break. Case 2 is pop. S.pop function that we have to implement. Break. Case 3 is display. S.display function. Break. Then case 0 will implement, or default 0 will implement for exit the program, and default is an invalid choice. Invalid choice. That's it. As simple as that. One thing we have to see is before we get in here, the stack should already be created. Yes, that is ensured by the constructor that the stack is already created. Right? So let's implement these functions. Push. So this is going to be our push function, which will return integer, scope resolved to class stack, and the name of the function is push. In this function we would do what? Well, you need data from the user, that what data you want to push into the stack. So very first thing you need is data. Enter data for stack. CIN. Where will you put that data? You will put the data in the stack location top +1, isn't it? So you'll put the data in stack plus top +1. Now my question is, stack is a pointer. Do you need to use a star here? टॉप इंक्रीमेंट बाद में होगा, ठीक है, यहां भी कर सकते हैं, पर यहां पे अगर इंक्रीमेंट किया देन द टॉप विल बी यूज्ड फर्स्ट एंड देन इंक्रीमेंटेड. What I want is this should be the index and then it is incremented. Now tell me, will it work? Yes, no? Let's see. Let's see what the compiler says. That we'll see. Let it have working first. Copy push to pop.c++. You have to have pop also because you have to put it in the make file. Let's remove these three statements as of now. keep it empty. Then we have to have display also. And keep it empty for now. There it is. Now modify the make file. You'll have three new functions: push.o, pop.o, and display.o. Push.o, pop.o, and display.o. Push, push, and then pop, and display. Done. Build. Build is failed. CH was not declared in the scope in main.cpp. CH. Build. Main menu was not declared in the scope. Oh, main menu. Main menu function, we can't call it like this. The main menu function will be called through the object, and the main menu function we have not implemented, isn't it? So let's copy to main menu dot cpp. In main menu, just name the function as of now. That's it. Okay. So build again. Build. Main menu was not declared in the scope. Why so now? Okay. There is some flaw. I think I didn't save the main file. Yeah, I didn't save it. Check it now. Make is successful. No, there is some another bug. We have to modify the make file, and there is some another bug also. So that is why I am doing this development with the base class. No, this is the previous one. So let's put in the main menu here first. Main menu dot o. Main menu dot o. And then describe main menu dot o. Main menu dot o. CPP. Done. Now try to make it once again. How? So there are set of bugs here. 9. Base class, base private is private within the context. We didn't use this. Okay, here we are. It starts from here. Yeah. So operator, no match for operator this. Push.cpp. Go to push.cpp. So we missed a semicolon here. So you, okay, let's try once again. Make. So make have more bugs. Let's look at the bugs we have. Where is it? What did it say? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's right. So finally we have a solution. In the push main, this and this. Are we using something in push? We've used the stack. So this stack and the top, you say that this will be this points to stack and this points to top. So even if you don't use this, it will still work because you're already in the public section. So that's not an issue. So let's see where is the beginning of this bug report. There it is. It says stack push. No match for operator this because the namespace is not included, I believe. This is strange. It doesn't recognize the operator, insertion operator, extraction operator. I have used the namespace in the headers.h, but the problem with the headers.h that it is included only once in the whole program. So what we should do is using namespace std, you pull it out of here and you keep it in main function here. Let's see, does it make any difference? We'll comment it from here. Make. Oh, it solves problem to some extent. Cout is not declared in this scope. Did you mean std cout? Yes. So this is happening in stack 0.cpp. Now stack 0.cpp is a constructor. This constructor was called even before main. And in the main.cpp, I have declared the namespace, due to which the constructor is having problem. Constructor is not able to understand what is the meaning of cout and cin. So let's do one thing. Try to keep it in declarations.h. and that may solve the problem. Let's see. I'm showing you various things. Try to keep it in declarations.h now. Right at the beginning of everything. Here. And comment it from main also. Build. The problems comes back. So this is the problem with the namespace. Now let's do one thing. Let it be in the declaration.h and keep it in the main as well. Now see, does it help? No. You can keep it at any one place. So remove it back from here. Now your constructor has a problem. Try to keep it in constructor as well. Somebody's microphone is on, please switch it off. Let's try now. It doesn't solve a problem because the problem is coming from stack 0. Which is not able to understand the second instance where you declared namespace. Oh, really? Oh, that is a mistake. Let me put it here then. Same problem. Okay, the push.cpp is also not able to understand the constructor is able to understand now. So do we have to put this using namespace in every file? Yeah. Yeah, that's the point. That is what I wanted to show you here. Okay, when I'm not putting it in main, I'm putting in the header file. The header file is included on the files and included only once. So using namespace yesterday should be visible, isn't it? And there should not have been any reason for you to put it again. Chalo, you also try to see this, and I'm out of time today. So this is a bug. We leave you with this bug today, and we will address this bug in the next class, in the next session.